So today's day and age, encouraging more people to go to college has been more influence to others than in the past. It has been convinced that college leads to a better life and a more stress-free and more stable lifestyle. But due to dropout rates or like other educational alternatives or personal reasons, can be reasons why people think college isn't for everyone. But to me, I believe that encouraging more people to go to college isn't a bad idea. I think it's a good idea because it not only benefits the person who gets the degree, but it also benefits everyone as a society as a whole. And you guys can relate to this topic because we've all seen it during the beginning of the fall semester. Classes are full, parking is hard to find. But then towards the end of the semester, like today, you can look around and there's more empty desks. You can see that parking is more easier to find. And so it got me wondering, thinking maybe college isn't for everyone. But I did more research and I found out that college is actually for everyone and that everyone should go to college because it not only benefits them, but it benefits society. And so, according to Ramesh Pannaru, writer of an article titled "The Case Against College Education," she mentions that 40% of kids who enroll in college don't graduate within 6 years. And I know that's almost close to half of the percentage that people don't really graduate within 6 years. So that's also another reason why this really interested me and why I'm interested in doing this topic. But the first thing I will address is that a person with a college degree lowers unemployment rates. So according to an article titled "Employment Rates of College Graduates," the employment for young adults with some college degree is 63.7 higher than those who only completed high school. So this shows that more than half of people who went to college and graduated are more likely to be employed than those who didn't go to college. This coincides with reducing poor population. An article titled "Parents' Low Education Leads to Low Income Despite Full-Time Employment" mentions that 57% of children whose parents have a high school diploma but no college education live in low-income families. And so a person's economic status can be influenced by the level of their education. The statistics show that people with only a high school education don't take home as much income as people that did graduate from college. Next, encouraging more people to go to college also lowers incarceration rates. And so low education leads to poor decision skill making. And according to an article titled "Do Higher Graduation Rates Reduce Crime?" the U.S. Bureau of Justice collected data stating that 56% of federal inmates, 67% of inmates in state prisons, and 69 inmates of local jails did not complete high school. So that shows that more than half of these prisoners didn't even finish their high school and didn't even continue to reach a higher level of education. And so more than half of these inmates have very low education and end up in prison. Lastly, encouraging people to go to college increases participation in civic society. According to an article on collegeboard.org titled "Education Pays 2013, 42% of adults with a bachelor's degree did volunteer work, 29% adults with an associate's degree volunteered, and 9% without a high school diploma volunteered, which was collected from data from September 1st, 2011 to September 1st, 2012. So the first category was the bachelor's degree, and it said that 42% of the adults volunteered compared to the 9% without a high school diploma. And so the importance of being involved in the civic society is that more citizens are engaged, they're more knowledgeable, and they're more responsible citizens that participate in their communities. And involving in civic society is important because it helps strengthen and develop democracy. Also, taxpayers can benefit taxpayers can also benefit from reduced incarceration rates. According to a CBS News article, "The Cost of Nation of Incarceration," the average cost of incarcerating one inmate in 2010 was $31,000 per year. So saving more money can allow the government to aid in social support programs like education and health insurance. So in conclusion, I believe that people should go to college, and encouraging more people to go to college isn't a bad idea. Even though there's high dropout rates, I think that if people really consider the factor that graduating from college leads to a better future, then they should just go for college and not drop out. Thank you.
All right, Jacob, share your thoughts with us, please.
So in the beginning, I saw that you opened up with some claims, like convinced that dropout rates have increased, but I was just looking for your evidence in that, just to improve the credibility of that statement, or else that really threw me off because I wasn't able to believe it, and maybe I got caught onto that as your beginning. So I thought that your introduction could use more evidence than just to support it a bit more. But your topic in relation to your audience today, pretty well done, considering that we're all in college. So wise choice on that one. Another thing that in your introduction that I really felt you needed, and it would have improved the majority of your speech by a whole lot, was just a really solid preview. Within your body, you threw out a lot of details, and first you went about why get a college degree, why it improves income, why it lowers incarceration rates, and increases the participation in civic work, taxpayers benefit from this. I got really lost in all the details you provided me for why it supports your claim. So I really felt that a preview was necessary for me to follow with what you're saying. But for the most part, while I was following the body of your presentation, you had really good evidence. Statistics really helped improve the credibility of your statements. I really enjoyed that. You're a very easy person to listen to. I think that your soft-spoken voice is actually beneficial to you. However, your delivery could use more eye contact, and I felt that your hand movements and your body movements were restricted because you were using so much of the information on your note cards rather than having yourself be more in place with the audience. Overall, I think that just a little bit more preparation, a little less use of your note cards, and a lot more eye contact would improve your delivery. Get some solid previews with your next presentations in the future, and solid speaker.
All right. Well, I'll echo a couple of things that he's saying there. I think that the preview is problematic. There needs to be a little bit more setup of what the structure is going to be for the material, because once you get into it, it just becomes a variety of statistical information and examples that you're suggesting. Now, I think there probably is a structure. It just needs to be clearer. And a preview probably would have solved half of the issue there. As I go back over thinking some of the things that you talked about, I can see that there is a distinction between those points, but it does need some help in being identifiable to the audience. And remember, audiences aren't always good listeners, and they need a little bit more help. So you got to work on that a little bit. The notion that college could be, non-essential or something like that, that might have been a more controversial point of view to take, especially with this audience. I thought that you did provide some justification by suggesting that there is criticism of people automatically going to college, and you had the one statistic The problem is that I'm not exactly sure we've ever come to grips with the reasons that people aren't succeeding in college, and why, for instance, a number of people aren't able to attend college. And I'm not, if it's because people don't think it's necessary or if there's something else that's going on. For instance, the one thing that jumped out at me when you were using the material on the criminal justice system, and you have the statistics that talked about the percentage of prisoners who hadn't even finished high school, you know, and that there was a greater chance of being in prison because of those kinds of things. I was sitting there listening to that, and I'm going, now, is that because they didn't finish high school, or did they not finish high school because they're the kinds of people who have these sorts of problems? I mean, if they're inclined to criminal behavior to begin with, there might be a reason that they didn't finish high school, that they were more attracted to doing what they thought would be exciting and alternative experiences, whether it's using drugs, engaging in dangerous activities, that sort of thing. Or is it the fact that, hey, I didn't get out of high school, so what can I do? The only thing I can do is drugs and these other kinds of things. So I thought that there's kind of a presupposition that's built in that suggests it's the one direction, and I'm not exactly sure that that problem would be fixed by people attending college. And I thought, for instance, I understand what Jacob's saying about you could use a little bit more numbers on this, but you did have a good statistic suggesting there's a controversy right at the beginning by saying 40% of the people who attend college never finish within 6 years. That seems to suggest that there's some problem that's going on here. But the problem is not that people don't want to be in college. The problem is that they're not completing college in some way or the other. So I think you're a little bit trying to, you know, first of all, you're preaching to the choir. Everybody here is in college trying to accomplish those sorts of things. So then now we need a bigger justification about why you are talking to us in the first place. And I thought that that was a little bit problematic. I would agree with Jacob also on the delivery things. I think you've got a, you know, your voice is calm. You've got a quiet way. It sounds very thoughtful, and for a subject like this, I think that's really appropriate. You don't want to be over the top and super emotional about something. You want to be reasonable in talking to people, and I thought you came across effectively that way. Your eye contact gets stuck a couple of times because you are looking at the notes, and when you got lost in a couple of spots, you suddenly just get drawn away from us, and it takes us out of the speech a little bit. That didn't happen a lot, but it did happen 2 or 3 places, and you'll notice it when you watch back on your video. And the same thing with the gestures. I didn't think that they were limited. It didn't look like you were the cigar store Indian standing there, you know, not moving at all. But it does seem a little bit limited because you do have the notes in your hands a bit. All right, thank you.